The Buddha's Enlightenment, in Searching for the Truths of Life Within Nature, by Venerable Rungruang Papatsaro, Dr. Rungruang Limchoopatipa. On the day of the Buddha's Enlightenment, 3 profound stages unfolded, respectively. Firstly, insightful observation. The Buddha performed an insightful observation to study the mind, including the process of dependent origination. Secondly, wisdom development. The Buddha analyzed his observations through the 4 noble truths to deepen his wisdom. Thirdly, liberation of the mind. The Buddha applied this wisdom to eradicate all forms of defilements, achieving complete liberation of the mind. Enlightenment is the path and way to achieving the knowledge necessary for mind liberation. The Buddha described a great person as one who is able to liberate the mind and put an end to suffering in life. He elaborated on this concept as follows.
The great person is the one who studies the truths of life within nature and is able to reach the state of nirvana, the perfectly enlightened one that first abandoned the 5 lower fetters, namely, desire for sensual pleasure, ill will, torpor of depression, anxiety, and doubt, the defilements of the mind, namely, greed, hatred, and delusion, that weaken wisdom, and then, with his mind well established in the 4 establishments of mindfulness, developed correctly to the 7 factors for enlightenment, namely, mindfulness, dharma investigation, effort, rapture, calmness, concentration, and equanimity, and thereby he has awakened to unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. The Dharma well expounded by me thus is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork. In the Dharma well expounded by me thus, which is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork, those monks who are arahants with taints destroyed, who have lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached their own goal, utterly destroyed the fetters of existence, and are completely liberated through final knowledge, have no future round for manifestation. The Dharma well expounded by me thus is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork. In the Dharma well expounded by me thus, those who have abandoned the 5 lower fetters are all due to be reborn spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final nibbana without ever returning from that world. The Dharma well expounded by me thus is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork. In the Dharma well expounded by me thus, those who have abandoned 3 fetters and attenuated lust, hate, and delusion are all once returners, returning once to this world to make an end of suffering. The Dharma well expounded by me thus is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork. In the Dharma well expounded by me thus, those who have abandoned 3 fetters are all stream enterers, no longer bound to the lower world, fixed in destiny, with enlightenment as their destination. The Dharma well expounded by me thus is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork. In the Dharma well expounded by me thus, those who are Dharma followers or faith followers all have enlightenment as their destination. The Dharma well expounded by me thus is clear, open, evident, and free of patchwork. In the Dharma well expounded by me thus, those who have sufficient faith in me and sufficient love for me all have heaven as their destination.
The Dharma of Buddha's enlightenment can be summarized into 4 main disciplines of knowledge that he discovered on the day of his enlightenment, namely the principle of cause and effect, the process of dependent origination, the 4 noble truths, and nirvana, as follows. Firstly, the principle of cause and effect. This principle states that whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. It explains that every phenomenon occurring in nature, is the result of specific causes and effects. This principle, often regarded as the law of nature, asserts that nothing in nature happens from mantra, magic, or miracles. Every being contributes to occurrences within the system, and the world changes according to actions, known as karma, sometimes referred to as the law of karma. While there are spirits and life after death, they exist as bodiless life forms. Although we may not directly experience them, they are abstract concepts rather than mantras. In Buddhism, everything happening in nature is caused by certain causes and effects, as succinctly illustrated as follows.
When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases.
Therefore, The only path and way to success in any aspect of life is to study the causes and effects that lead to achieving one's goals, as outlined below.
Everyone desires a long life, good looks, happiness, power and honor, and heaven. A wise person does not pray for a long life but studies the causes and effects that lead to longevity and then takes appropriate actions to achieve it. A wise person should not pray asking for being a good-looking, but a wise one should study the cause and effect of being good-looking and then take the right practice and the right action to achieve the result. A wise person does not pray for good looks but makes an effort to understand the causes and effects that contribute to attractiveness and then follows the right practices to attain it. The same principle applies to seeking happiness, power and honor, and reaching heaven. The wise person should be smart enough to discern between what is truly effective and what is useless, yielding no outcome, ensuring that his actions lead to genuine achievement and success in life.
The Buddha emphasized the importance of studying the law of nature and being discerning enough to distinguish between what is wholesome and unwholesome, rather than relying on miracles through mantras in Buddhism. To resolve life's problems, we must engage in the threefold study strategy, which consists of morality study, the mind study, and wisdom development. In Buddhist practice, we focus on the study of the mind by establishing mindfulness to explore our inner mind, observing the nature and functions of the mind with attentive awareness, to gain wisdom as outlined below.
A farmer, when growing rice, must follow 3 steps. First, preparing the soil, then adding water and wheatgrass in, and finally, when the ear of paddy appears, removing the water from the rice field before harvesting. Just as the farmer must follow these steps, so too, in Buddhism, we follow the Buddhist studies in the threefold strategy as outlined below. The study on morality, designed to resolve the rough defilements. The study on the mind, executed to resolve the middle defilements. The study on wisdom, to serve the purpose of the destruction of the finest defilements.
Secondly, the process of dependent origination functions as the operating system of the mind. This concept is developed from the Buddha's insight observation of mental phenomena. It provides a basis for understanding how the mind operates. The varieties and complexities of mental conditions arise from the routine process of dependent origination. The discovery of the process of dependent origination as the operating system of mind is crucial because it explains how a simple stimulus from the world can evolve into a more complex object of consciousness and emotional feeling before culminating in actions that respond to the world. The Buddha explained the nature of the mind and its operating system as follows.
Monks, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, the stage of the Buddha before the enlightenment, not yet fully enlightened, it occurred to me. This world has fallen into trouble, in that it is born, ages, and dies. It passes away and is reborn, yet it does not understand the escape from this suffering headed by aging and death. When now will an escape be discerned from this suffering headed by aging and death? Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does aging and death come to be? By what is aging and death conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is birth, aging and death comes to be. Aging and death has birth as their condition. Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does birth come to be? Existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the 6 sense bases, name and form? By what is name and form conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is consciousness, name and form comes to be. Name and form has consciousness as its condition. Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does consciousness come to be? By what is consciousness conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is name and form, consciousness comes to be. Consciousness has name and form as its condition. Then, monks, it occurred to me, this consciousness turns back. It does not go further than name and form. It is to this extent that one may be born and age and die, pass away and be reborn. That is, when there is consciousness with name and form as its condition, and name and form with consciousness as its condition. With name and form as condition, the 6 sense bases. With the 6 sense bases as condition, contact. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. Origination, origination. Thus, monks, in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, penetration, and light. Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what does not exist, does aging and death not come to be? With the cessation of what does the cessation of aging and death come about? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no birth, aging and death does not come to be. With the cessation of birth comes cessation of aging and death. It occurred to me, when what does not exist does birth not come to be? Existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, name and form? With the cessation of what does the cessation of name and form come about? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no consciousness, name and form does not come to be. With the cessation of consciousness comes cessation of name and form. It occurred to me, when what does not exist, does consciousness not come to be? With the cessation of what does the cessation of consciousness come about? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no name and form, consciousness does not come to be. With the cessation of name and form comes cessation of consciousness. Then, monks, it occurred to me, I have discovered this path to enlightenment. That is, with the cessation of name and form comes cessation of consciousness. With the cessation of consciousness comes cessation of name and form. With the cessation of name and form, cessation of the six sense bases. With the cessation of the six sense bases, cessation of contact. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Cessation, cessation. Thus, monks, in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, penetration, and light. Suppose, monks, a man wandering through a forest would see an ancient path, an ancient road traveled upon by people in the past. He would follow it and would see an ancient city, an ancient capital that had been inhabited by people in the past, with parks, groves, ponds, and ramparts, a delightful place. Then the man would inform the king or a royal minister, "Sire, know that while wandering through the forest I saw an ancient path, an ancient road traveled upon by people in the past. I followed it and saw an ancient city, an ancient capital that had been inhabited by people in the past, with parks, groves, ponds, and ramparts, a delightful place. Renovate that city, sire." Then the king or the royal minister would renovate the city, and sometime later that city would become successful and prosperous, well populated, filled with people, and attain to growth and expansion. So too, monks, I saw the ancient path, the ancient road traveled by the perfectly enlightened ones of the past. And what is that ancient path, that ancient road? It is just this noble eightfold path. That is, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. I followed that path, and by doing so I have directly known aging and death, its origin, its cessation, and the way leading to its cessation of the process of dependent origination. I have directly known birth, existence, clinging, craving, the feeling, contact, the six sense bases, name and form, consciousness, volitional formations, their origin, their cessation, and the way leading to their cessation. Having directly known them, I have explained them to the monks, the nuns, the male lay followers, and the female lay followers. This spiritual life, monks, has become successful and prosperous, extended, popular, widespread, and well proclaimed among devas and humans.
The Buddha investigated further after seeing the process of dependent origination that the nature of each component within the process of dependent origination functioning as the operating system of mind, in fact, is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self as follows.
By performing the Buddhist practice, we can experience that life is composed of body and mind, and by observing the mental phenomena of the objects of consciousness, we can realize that every object of consciousness is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. The body is impermanent, as it changes through the passage of time, from a baby to a child, then continuously to an adult, a working person, and an old person, and eventually dies at the end of life. This is the impermanence of the body. The body is deteriorating because it is aging as time goes by. This is the deterioration of the body. No one wants to be old, but we are getting old. No one wants to be sick, but occasionally we get sick. No one wants to die, but we all will die someday. This is the no-self nature of the body. The body is a part of the natural process, and it is no self. Next, let us consider the mind, feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, and each state of mind in the process of dependent origination. We can realize that the mind is impermanent because the mind keeps on changing from one state to another state at all times. This is the impermanence of the object of consciousness. This is the impermanence of mental phenomena. The mind is deteriorating because every object of consciousness that arises will fade away within a short period. Therefore, at a particular instance of whatsoever happening inside the mind, it is deteriorating at that moment in time. This is the deterioration of the object of consciousness. This is the deterioration of mental phenomena. The mind is no self because every phenomenon inside it arises due to certain cause and effect. Depending on a certain cause and effect, another mental phenomenon arises in the process of dependent origination. The mind is a natural process by which no one can control it to be whatsoever by wishing. Therefore, the mind is a natural process, and it is no self. We can finally conclude that life, which is composed of body and mind, is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. And what are the dependently arisen phenomena? Aging and death are impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, subject to destruction, vanishing, fading away, and cessation. Birth is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, subject to destruction, vanishing, fading away, and cessation. Existence is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Clinging is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Craving is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Feeling is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Contact is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. The six sense bases are impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Name and form is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Consciousness is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Volitional formations are impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Ignorance is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, subject to destruction, vanishing, fading away, and cessation. These are called the dependently arisen phenomena. A noble disciple has clearly seen with correct wisdom as it really is this dependent origination and these dependently arisen phenomena.
Having a solid understanding and experience of dependent origination as the mind's operating system is crucial for analyzing the truths of life in nature. Thirdly, the Four Noble Truths. This is an analytical tool to develop wisdom gained from insightful observation. The Four Noble Truths consist of four components as follows. 1. The problem statement. Generally, suffering is the main problem in life. Suffering causes pain and difficulties. Typically, suffering results from evil actions, which are triggered by an emotionally disturbed mind or mental illness. In Buddhism, all kinds of mental illness are collectively called the varieties of defilements. These defilements are classified into three groups. 1. Rough defilements of greed, hatred, and delusion. 2. Middle defilements, the 5 lower fetters, which consist of sensual desire, ill will, depression, anxiety, and doubt. 3. Finest defilements, the 3 taints, comprising the taint of sensual pleasure, the taint of existence, and the taint of ignorance.
Whatever feeling arises, all that arises is rooted in desire and lust, with desire and lust as its source. Then the mind is dominated by the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, leading to evil doing by greed, hatred, and delusion. And this is the reason why desire and lust are the root of suffering.
2. Root cause analysis. To understand the problem clearly, we must explore its source and address it at the root. The Buddha explained that in observation, we must inspect, ponder, and carefully investigate it, and it will appear void, hollow, and insubstantial, as follows.
Monks, suppose that this river Ganges was carrying along the great lump of foam. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. What substance could there be in a lump of foam? So too, monks, whatever kind of form there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in form? Suppose, monks, that in the autumn, when it is raining and big raindrops are falling, a water bubble arises and bursts on the surface of the water. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a water bubble? So too, monks, whatever kind of feeling there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in feeling? Suppose, monks, that in the last month of the hot season, at high noon, a shimmering mirage appears. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a mirage? So too, monks, whatever kind of perception there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in perception? Suppose, monks, that a man needing heartwood, seeking heartwood, wandering in search of heartwood, would take a sharp axe and enter a forest. There he would see the trunk of a large banana tree, straight, fresh, without a fruit bud core. He would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown, and unroll the coil. As he unrolls the coil, he would not find even softwood, let alone heartwood. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in the trunk of a banana tree? So too, monks, whatever kind of volitional formations there are, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk inspects them, ponders them, and carefully investigates them. As he investigates them, they appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in volitional formations? Suppose, monks, that a magician or a magician's apprentice would display a magical illusion at a crossroads. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a magical illusion? So too, monks, whatever kind of consciousness there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in consciousness? There a man would see the trunk of a large banana tree, straight, fresh, without a fruit bud core. He would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown, and unroll the coil. As he unrolls the coil, he would not find even softwood, let alone heartwood. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. Seeing thus, monks, the instructed noble disciple becomes disenchanted with form, disenchanted with feeling, disenchanted with perception, disenchanted with volitional formations, and disenchanted with consciousness. Becoming disenchanted, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge. It's liberated. He understands. Destroyed is birth. The spiritual life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more coming back to any state of being.
3. The objective, By liberating the mind from the object of consciousness, we can achieve the cessation of all kinds of defilements. 4. The action plans. The Buddha defined the Noble Eightfold Path as a collective action plan to resolve all kinds of defilements and achieve mind liberation. The components of the Noble Eightfold Path are as follows. 1. Right view, understanding the nature of reality and the path of transformation. 2. Right intention, commitment to ethical and mental self-improvement. 3. Right speech, speaking truthfully and avoiding harmful language. 4. Right action, acting in ways that are ethical and non-harmful. 5. Right livelihood, earning a living in a way that does not harm others. 6. Right effort, cultivating positive states of mind and avoiding negative ones. 7. Right mindfulness, developing awareness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental phenomena. 8. Right concentration, practicing meditation to achieve a focused and tranquil mind.